Welcome, Abby Lindy, former pharmacist turned health coach. And in this series, we are going to talk to a bunch of amazing people that were once pharmacists. And there is something that I just love so much about the kind of people that become pharmacists. And there's something about pharmacy right now that it's just really tough. And there's a lot of challenges associated with it. And so what I'm seeing is a lot of my colleagues and friends are exploring side projects and passions and pivoting, and in many cases, leaving pharmacy. And so I thought it would be really fun to connect with them, learn about their journey from pharmacy, out of pharmacy and back for some of them, and just really see what kind of interesting fun we can have with that.
Okay. All right. I'm very excited today. We have Sharon Yeh with us. She is, of course, a pharmacist, but she's also a certified nutrition specialist and certified hypnotist professional, which I'm really excited to talk about. She is the founder of Sharon Yeh Wellness, and she helps women go from stressed and frazzled to vibrant and thriving. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me on your channel today. So happy to be here.
Awesome. So I always like to start out these interviews with the same question, and that is to kind of go back in time and think about when you were deciding to become a pharmacist. So tell us a little bit about how that happened, why you decided to go that route, a little bit about that.
Okay. We had to go back all the way back 20 years ago.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah, how old I am. But anyways, so thinking back, how did I decide to choose pharmacy? A lot of it is family influence. I have a lot of family members in healthcare field, not necessarily pharmacy. And so growing up in that environment, I was exposed to healthcare a lot. And
Sure.
I'm sure you heard a lot of people probably say the same thing or similar things. Really, I wanted to help people feel better and get better. And so that's how I chose pharmacy. So that's
amazing.
A short story of it.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that is pretty consistent that like pharmacists are people that they just want to help others. And it seems like a route that they can help others. So once you became a pharmacist, did you feel like you were helping others, or what made you decide to kind of shift your practice a little bit?
So let me go back a little bit. So when I say a lot of my family members were in healthcare, that also include the traditional Chinese medicine. Okay. So I was young. Honestly, I didn't believe any of that. I cannot believe I'm saying that right now to you. So I was being a little bit rebellious. I'm like, traditional medicine. Nah, let me go the other route. So that's how I, chose pharmacy. So in terms of your question, I did all the pharmacy stuff, meaning did a residency program. I practiced in various settings pharmacy, so that included managed care, hospital, a little of retail, a little bit of long-term care setting. So as you can see, there's a whole variety of pharmacy practice.
Yeah, you really hit all the zones.
Yeah, all the zone, yeah. But my last 10 years were acute care in hospital setting. I was a clinical pharmacist. So that was my last 10 years of pharmacy practice. But we did a lot. We were really pushing pharmacy practice to go forward, meaning the hospital setting, we run it with the doctors. We have a lot of pharmacist-driven protocols, including discharge, medication counseling. And that is actually my favorite part because I get to talk to people. So when you ask me, do I really feel like I help people? Yes, I did through the discharge counseling.
Yeah.
And now because the other day was thinking back, like, what did I do during that time? And that is the part I love.
So now you're you've kind of taken a totally different perspective. You're still helping people. You're still talking with people, I'm assuming. But you're working as a nutritionist and a hypnotist.
Mhm.
So
Right.
how did you decide to make that shift? How did you make that transition?
Pregnancy.
Oh, yeah. That changes a lot of things, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. Well, so that's my catalyst. So actually, there are two catalysts. So that's one of them. So I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was having really severe heartburn. I couldn't, lay down comfortably. I couldn't really eat a lot of things. I was popping Tums in like every 2 hours, like pushing to the maximum dose.
Mm-hmm.
But I still felt really uncomfortable. I just couldn't feel comfortable during the last 3 months of the pregnancy. So one night, I was staying up. I couldn't sleep. My husband sleeping soundly. I'm like, oh, right. So I started to Google like what should I do like naturally. I think that was a key word search I put in the nature. What's a nature remedy for this nausea, vomiting, or heartburn for pregnancy? And I don't know what happened. Like it leads to this local nutritionist in Houston area, and then I look at her website. She has blogs, and I just started to look into that. I was like, what is she doing? Well, how can she do this? Like, and that's when I realized the power of food and medicine. And somehow these two words caught my attention: functional medicine. And that was the very first time I heard functional medicine. So I was like, okay, let me Google functional medicine. What is that? How come I've never heard of it? So that led me to Institute of Functional Medicine, the website. I was like, oh my God, I opened up a whole new world or
Yeah.
down to the rabbit hole, depends on how you look.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the beginning.
So how
of
long
my
ago was
transition.
that?
Oh my God, that was 9 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
that's 9 years ago.
Interesting. I had actually, my story is very similar to that.
Okay.
I was post, so I had already given birth to my first daughter. She's 9 now also. And I was just, of course, exhausted and just like totally depleted and just, you know, postpartum. And I decided that I was going to do a Whole30. I don't know if you've heard of Whole30.
Yes.
And I felt so amazing. It really was the first time in my head that it clicked that like, oh, the food that I eat affects how I feel. Like, huh, who knew? But it was right after giving birth, and that was my first. I first started looking at health coaching before I found functional medicine, so it was just a little different. But pregnancy really, it just changes things in your brain and just in your perspective and what you're willing to do and explore. So yeah, it's funny how that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened in between having a baby, taking care of newborn, the hormones. I decided to go back to school to pursue a master's degree, and that took forever because I was still working full time back then and with a child, a baby, right?
So what is your master's degree in?
So that was in a master in nutrition, human nutrition and functional medicine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So now looking back, that was so crazy. I don't even know how I did it. But that's just an example. Like for everyone, you can do what you desire to do. You can do it.
Yes. It is crazy how like we feel busy. I remember like, so I had one baby. I felt so busy, I couldn't even imagine it. Then I had another. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so easy. It's like you just adapt and you make it work. If something's important, you do it, right?
Right, exactly.
So
that's my first catalyst. And the second one, I can share with everybody too. So I have a dog, and she's actually our first child, right?
Yes.
And she got sick Like she had hepatitis, chronic hepatitis. So the veterinarian couldn't figure out what's causing it. They just say, okay, the dog needs to be on prednisone for the rest of her life. I, I don't, at that moment, I just feel intuitively that, okay, we need to change her diet. So we cook for our dog. And
Oh,
this is was
okay.
several years ago. And she is on prednisone still, but like 2 times a week, like very, very minimum dose.
Sure.
And the veterinarian is like, just keep doing whatever you're doing because it's working. And we only change her food. Yeah.
Crazy. Food is powerful. Yeah.
It is. It is. So that's my second catalyst. Okay, I have to look into functional medicine. I have to, continue to pursue this nutrition root cause medicine route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then at that time, you were still working as a pharmacist, going to school to get your master's degree. How did you finally decide, or are you in pharmacy at all at this time?
So right at this time, no, in the sense, not in the traditional pharmacy
Yes.
practice setting. And the reason I say that is because every clients that I come through, I use a pharmacist skill. I'm sure you agree too, right?
Totally.
It's like
Tell
the
me,
skills
tell
always
tell me
like,
about it though. Yeah.
so of course we always want to look at what medications, if any, the client is on, right? And how does that medication affect the nutrient status? This drug-induced nutrient deficiency is real, although I never done that in pharmacy school.
I know.
But that happens. And also, okay, the condition, how does the medication potentially contribute to the condition or like the symptoms that clients is experiencing? I mean, a very simple example would be PPI, long-term use of PPI that cause a lot of potentially nutrient deficiency because of the acid suppression, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I had a client who was on 2 years worth of PPI and she had all these issues because of the protein malabsorption or digestion issues and mineral deficiency. So again, that's looking at the drug and how that affects the client's health.
Mhm. Awesome. So when did you make the transition? Like, did you gradually leave pharmacy and you were working half-time while founding your, business? Or so tell me about
Yeah.
that, because I think that's a lot of people are like, I want to go the functional medicine route. I want to do this more wellness space,
Mm-hmm.
but like also I need to pay my bills, and pharmacy is how I can pay my bills, right? So talk
That
about
is
your
so
transition.
true.
Yeah, well, and I hate, like, I sometimes hesitate to say this. I've said it before, so I'll say it again. But it's almost like harder to leave a job where your pharmacists make good money, right? And so your family gets used to depending on that. So for you to just leave and start a business and like make $0 for probably a while, it's hard. And I'm not complaining that pharmacists make too much money, but like it's a
Right,
it's a barrier to leaving pharmacy and starting
right,
something new. So talk a little bit about how you did
right.
that, because I think that would be really interesting.
So yeah, so that is actually very interesting how I went through the whole process. And you will see how this link into hypnosis. So I had my child, and so at that time I already started school. And then I asked my director, can I reduce my hours? So my first director is very family friendly. He's like, okay, that's fine. We can just do 4 hours, 4 days a week. So that's still considered full time in hospital. Okay. So I did that. And then a new director came. He was like, this is not gonna work for the team schedule. So that comes into my value system. What do I value? So I really value my time with my child. And I really didn't want to miss that time with her when she was younger. So and he sounded so bold when I look back, right? So like, and then I say, okay, then I have to leave. So I transitioned to a PRN position from a full-time to PRN position.
Okay.
So that's a transition. And
Yeah.
interestingly, after that, I went back to a reduced full-time job after the PRN for about 2 years. And I don't know if you believe this, but when you desire for something really strongly, somehow the universe or God will always help you to do that. Okay.
I
So
want to believe that. There's a part of me that believes that, and then there's a part of me that's like, I need to make it all happen. So
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
balance, I'd say, but yes.
I know, but it's like when you put your desire, your dream out there,
Totally.
and you feel into it, it will happen. And of course, you have to take action. It's not just sitting
Totally.
there doing nothing.
Totally.
But anyway, a whole thing, issues happen with my full-time job after the PRN position. So anyways, again, it goes back to my value system. Do I value is that full-time job aligned with my value at that moment? And the answer was clearly no. So I quit. I left pharmacy.
Had you already founded your wellness business at that point?
Yes, yes. I mean,
Okay.
this whole time through after I graduated, I started a business along the way, slowly.
Was it primarily online, or is it still primarily online, virtual?
Primary online, yes,
Okay.
yes. And yes, you can do hypnosis online too. So.
Yes, let's talk about
Yes.
hypnosis. I was just recently introduced to it. I don't know if you know, let's see, what is her name? Simone Soul. She's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
business, like
Mhm.
marketing
The
business coach.
marketing, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so they have a coaching course, and they teach hypnosis in there. And so she did like a free one, and I attended it, and I don't know, it was really interesting. I was really drawn to it. I started like rabbit holing a little bit.
How was
At the
your
time,
experience? How was your
it was
experience?
great. It was great. Yeah. And I like played around with it. I work with clients who feel like they have no willpower. And they're trying to stick to a plan, and they just can't do it. They know what they need to do, but they can't do it. And so I was like, hey, I'm just like dabbling here. Do you guys want to try this with me? And like, I obviously am not a certified anything, and we just tried it, and they all were like, we like that. You should learn that and do that with us. And I was like, okay. So I'm really curious, because there's a lot of people doing it online now. And like a lot of programs. So I guess tell me a little bit about, like, is there science? Is there like, what is actually happening when we're using hypnosis? Tell me a little bit of that piece, because
Yes,
that's the part where I was having a hard time finding.
yeah.
Everyone just
So
claims it solves all the things, so.
I don't think there's one thing that will solve all the things, but it's
Well,
always
that's what my
multiple things,
skeptical
right?
brain said, for sure.
So in terms of you asked about, is there science to back this up? So yes, there is a lot, and you can do PubMed search, and I actually did that.
Is it just under
Especially,
hypnosis? Like, is that the
yeah,
word to use? Okay.
you can use hypnosis, and if you want to be very specific, you can even do hypnosis for weight loss, hypnosis
Mm.
for IBS. There's a lot of study on that, showing hypnosis is very effective in helping managing the IBS symptoms. But I think we should go back to explain what is hypnosis,
Okay, yeah,
because
please
I think
do.
there's maybe a lot of misconception. Because the first time long time ago I heard about hypnosis, I thought it was like, oh, my mind is being controlled. Right?
Yes.
So those are the impression a lot of people have from watching the Netflix movies or reading novels about hypnosis. But
Or like
hypnosis,
the entertainment shows that people do, and they make people walk around and like do silly things.
right?
Like, that's what I think of right
Exactly.
away. Yeah.
But hypnosis is actually a very normal state of mind. We go in and out of hypnosis all the time.
Mm.
So it is a focus attention, a state of focused attention. So what do I mean by that? So let's imagine like when you're watching a TV show, the show is so good, like you're completely like focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
That is a state of hypnosis. Or when you're driving on a highway and there's nobody around, and you just kind of space out and you make the exit. That is a state of hypnosis.
Okay.
Yeah. Or another example would be the other day I was looking for the honey bottle, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I asked my daughter, "Did you see it?" And she was like, "It's in front of you." But I didn't see it. I was in the state of hypnosis.
Interesting. So all of
Yeah.
these examples are not things that you were like trying to be in hypnosis. They just happen.
They just happen.
They just
Right.
happen. Okay, interesting.
And I'm going to also say this, when people scroll on social media, you're so focused on scrolling,
Yeah.
whatever, that is a state of hypnosis. It's a
I
focused
believe that.
attention.
I feel like I black out for like hours at a time once in a while. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, where did the time go? Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, all hypnosis, meaning even when you work with a hypnotist, all hypnosis are self-hypnosis. So you always maintain the control of going in and out of hypnosis.
Okay.
And in the hypnotic state, our brain becomes more, the mind becomes more receptive to suggestions, to new ideas, to new beliefs, to new values. So that's why we can access the subconscious mind, because all those are stored in the subconscious mind. And that's how you can make changes based on what your, like, the client's desire benefit is.
Okay. And so is there like a certain formula? It seemed like I was finding like a certain formula for like starting the hypnosis and then what they want to change and then closing it or something. Is that so I assume there's some sort of a pattern or a process for all of that?
Yeah. There is a process, and at the beginning it's called induction. So helping the person relax, go into the state, it's called trance, right? Go into
Sure.
that state, and then the person's might become receptive. It depends on, there's so many different techniques. So what
Sure.
you mentioned is it's just one of it. And then when in the hypnotic state, the hypnotist can give suggestions. So for example, let's say if we are working on a healthy habit, eating healthy. So in that state, I can suggest fruit is sweet already. You shop in the outer perimeter of a grocery store section. You don't go into the processed food section.
Yeah.
Something, things like that. Or you enjoy eating vegetables, fruits, things like that. You love yourself, you love your body. So those are the suggestions. It really depends on what the client wants.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. What specific barrier they're having or mindset issue.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the very important thing to mention is, if the hypnotist suggests something that you as a client does not agree, if you don't agree with it, you reject it, because our brain has a protective mechanism in place. So you're not going to take out something that you don't already agree.
Sure. What about when you have like conflicting beliefs? So for example, like, I don't want to eat processed foods and sugar, but also I kind of do because they're delicious and everybody else does. So is there like, is it helpful in that type of a situation? Because I find that comes up a lot where it's like, I want to eat healthy, I want to do this stuff, but it's also, I kind of don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that situation we'll have to find out, what do you mean that you don't?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what's the underlying belief, or what's your value system? And this go back to when I say values, because a lot of people I'm just using example. There's no particular person.
Sure.
They want to be healthy. But is health a top value for the person? Right? That's a really good question to ask. And you might say, well, I don't know. Then look at your behaviors. Is your behavior aligned with your value? Because they always align, right? So if you say you're a healthy person, but you're smoking, that's kind of a conflict.
Sure.
So that means health is probably not on the top priority of your value system, or it's not on top value system.
Interesting. And that might be a hard like realization, I suppose, for people. It's like you say that it is, but your behaviors or your actions aren't showing it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And value is stored in our subconscious mind. And that's why hypnosis is a tool to change that. It's an effective tool to change that.
Okay.
And go back to my own experience. And you probably have similar experience too. So transition from being an employee to like a business owner, that's a complete value system switch, right?
It is.
And you probably can resonate with this too. Growing your business, you have to grow it personally first. Yeah, because a lot of personal growth issues surface during that business growth.
Absolutely.
So that's how I, first come through like using hypnosis to get a self-confidence, to get a self-trust. I know I can grow my business.
So it sounds like you did, so were you like using, the service of someone else that was helping you at first, and then you decided to get the certification, or because you are a certified, hypnotist professional?
Hypnotist.
So tell me, like, how did you go about getting that certification or deciding even?
So go to National Guild of Hypnotists. So they have instructors. Then you find a certified instructor from there. But mine is very specific. It's called BiPath. So I can send you a link so people
can
take a look if you're interested. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 2 weeks process, but there's home study before too, and there are practice session building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have this problem where I sign up for all of the things, all of the certifications, all of the classes and the courses. I'm in one right now related to processed food addiction. Super interesting, taking like an addictive perspective on, people who are primarily food related, right? So just they're eating foods that are literally making them sick, and they can't stop. Like they can't stop. So I feel like hypnosis in that context would probably be particularly useful.
Yes, definitely.
So I feel like it goes together, but I am not allowed to sign up for any more classes right now.
Maybe when you finish that one.
Yes, I have a list of classes and courses that I want to do but I'm not allowed to sign up for any of them yet.
I know.
That's my personal rule.
Yes, same here, because I just put a stop on that.
Yes.
I mean, it's good that we always want to explore more.
Yes.
But there is a limit at one moment.
Yeah. And also eventually you have to just like put the classes into use, right? Like
exactly.
It's like I know all these things, but if I'm not doing them and practicing and helping out, like that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
So that's
and this is why I use hypnosis. I bring into functional medicine practice or nutrition practice, because people come in, they obviously want to feel better, they want to feel, so that's stress. So hypnosis for stress reduction, that's one way to use it. They want to have more energy, and the key is all these have to be sustainable, so it has to become a lifestyle, and hypnosis can help with the new habits, new belief, new way of thinking. And of course not everyone's open to it, and that's okay. So this is for whoever's open to it. so they can add that tool into their toolbox.
Awesome. It's funny that you say that some people have problems with it. I had one experience where I was talking about it. And the woman was talking about, well, I don't do hypnosis. I don't believe in that. And I pray instead. I'm like, I think that's probably like the same thing, but that's fine. We call it by different names, right? I
Yeah.
just thought that was really interesting because I'm sure that, some of these prayers, especially where it's like prayers where you like say the same words kind of, with other people or kind of over and over again, where you're not having to really think about the words. I'm sure that
Yeah.
that is inducing some sort of a hypnotic state.
Oh yeah,
And
yes, definitely.
yeah,
Yes,
that's like
yes,
probably the purpose of it, right? Like if
yeah.
you go back in time, that's probably why, they figured that out without maybe knowing the science of it, right?
Yeah, so I often share this with my client and my own family and friends too. When you worry about something, constantly worry about something, worrying is a form of self-hypnosis.
But like in a negative way, I'm
And
assuming.
in a negative way, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, for example, when we are worried about getting sick, I'm afraid I'm getting sick. I'm getting sick. You're gonna get sick, most likely.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the power of the mind.
Mm, absolutely. Oh, that's really
Yeah,
interesting. So
yeah.
so how do people find you that want to work with you, or how does that interaction work? You said you're mostly online or all online. And
Hmm.
how can people find you?
So through social media, through platform like this, and my local people that working, yeah. But most of the sessions, actually, right now, all the sessions I do will be virtual sessions, and I also want to mention this because people might be like, "What do you mean hypnosis online?" Because people are more familiar with having nutrition consultation online. But the advantage of having hypnosis virtually is, okay, you had to be in your home or your environment that's familiar to you. And when you can start to make changes or make the shift in your environment, that actually is it facilitates change better.
That makes
Yeah,
sense. Like I go to the doctor's office and something happens there and I'm great there. And then I come home and everything goes back to the
exactly.
same. That
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
so
awesome.
eventually,
Okay, awesome.
yeah,
And we'll make sure to get all of the links. You mentioned the kind of the training
yeah.
hypnosis links, but we'll also get links for all your social media and how they can find you and your website and all of those things. Is there anything else you wanna add? This was so fun. I can't wait to go and probably go rabbit holing down the hypnosis trail again.
um, just follow me on my personal Facebook because that's where really I put all the information. And feel free to reach out through email, messengers, because I know we only touch a little bit on the surface. There's so much more. I wish we had more time to share, but it's so much more to share. And we talk about how worrying is a form of self-hypnosis in a negative way. So I want to leave with this, change to a positive way, right?
Mm.
So I use the example of I'm worrying about getting sick, or maybe I don't feel well and I just worry about this going down the hole, like down, getting worse. How about let's change it to I'm feeling better and better every single day.
That feels like it could be powerful. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. And repeat that to yourself every day. Yeah. Instead of worrying about something.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
that's
Okay,
one
cool.
useful tool that
I love
everybody
it.
can use. Yeah.
I love it. And if anyone tries it and it works, let us know. Let Sharon know for sure. She'd love to hear from you, I'm sure. All right,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much for chatting with me. I can't wait to rabbit hole, and I started following you now too. So I will I'm
Awesome.
sure stay in the loop.
So great talking to Sharon. I am really excited to try her tip right at the end talking about how to kind of reframe and just like use the power of your thoughts and self-hypnosis to kind of get out of worrying and anxiety and kind of getting out of those stuck patterns and into new patterns. Cannot wait. Totally going to rabbit hole on hypnosis. 100%. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know and let Sharon know what you thought of the episode. We really appreciate a like or a comment, and have a great day.